Monday Parshas Chayesora. The previous Shia, we started talking a little bit about that even if a person has Bitachon, they shouldn't be lazy. And they should think what they need to do and think about uncomfortable topics. And it's actually the opposite. If a person is comfortable that Hashem is going to take care of him, and he understands that well, then there isn't any topic that he has to live in denial about it, or he has to shove it away, because he's not scared to think about it. It comes from the opposite of bitachon, a lack of bitachon, that a person is like, don't talk to me about this, I don't want to think about this, all such type of zachen, because the person doesn't know how to handle it, because they're missing the bitachon factor. That's what we started discussing last week. Now, there were people that felt that they got mixed up. That when we talk about bitachon, always it's about not doing, and here it's about not doing anything, and here you're saying you gotta get very busy, you gotta think about. We mentioned examples like people have to think when they get married about a job. They have to think about they're going to have to marry off your children. The Rambam says that, and you have to think about it. If you choose to just totally live in denial until it bursts at you, it's not coming from bitachon. It's coming from laziness. If a person chooses not to think about that one day they're going to have to leave this world because he's too scared to think about it, it's because he doesn't understand. He feels he doesn't have the tools. He doesn't know what to do about it. But a person is supposed to think and plan with bitachon. Now, being that some people felt that bitachon usually means just rely on the Rebbeinu Shalom, why are you telling me that I have to plan it and I have to be busy with it and be worried about marrying off my children when I'm 10 years before that, 20 years before that? Why should I be worried about it? When the time is going to come, Hashem is going to help. I don't want to think about it right now. So for some people, it's like a fine line. When is it bitachon, and when is it not bitachon? So in order to understand it, let's speak about a very simple concept. Sometimes bitachon is teaching us not to do, and sometimes the essence of bitachon is that you should do. That's the essence of bitachon. And now, it's 50-50. I mean, it's not like most times bitachon is you just sit and learn and Hashem is going to take care of it. And sometimes, like 5%, you should be doing something about it anyways. No. The essence of bitachon is forcing you, is telling you, sometimes stop, sit down and don't do anything. And 50% of the time is the same exact. Bitachon is the force behind pushing you. Have bitachon, go do it. It's very important to get that, because some people, sometimes they put into their minds, they get used to the concept that, what's the problem? I'm not doing anything, so it means that I'm having bitachon. So let's explain that. When a person is trying to force a result to happen, that means, for example, they are trying to get a certain specific job, and they feel that they just need to push just a little bit more. They have someone that's a cousin of theirs that could put in a good word. They feel that if they advertise just a bit more, then I'm going to be the one to get the job. They fix up their resume with being addicted to constantly going back and putting in another line, then maybe that's going to do it. That's where you're not having bitachon, because stop. Rely on the Rebbeinu Shalom. You already did yours. Now rely on the Rebbeinu Shalom. But the Gemara tells us in Masechtas Shabbos that Rava was sitting and learning, and he was pressing on his fingers to the extent that it was gushing, blood was running out of his fingers, the Gemara says. And the Tzaddoki came over to him and he says, I'm a paziza. You're, how do you say that? You're very, you're reckless and impulsive. You're impulsive. That means you don't think before you do. You just act before you get to think about it. And he says, you did that all along. You said Na'aseh v'nishma. Hashem came to Klal Yisrael and said, okay, we might be doing a deal. I have a Torah to offer. What do you say about it? Now, before you went to look, to see, what does it say in the Torah? Are we capable of to be Mekayim everything that it says? Could we actually do it? You just right away said, Na'aseh v'nishma. It's ours. We bought it. So he saw him learning, and he's not thinking about the repercussions of what's happening. And he says, you still have the same problems, and you act before you get to think it over. And then the Gemara says that Rava replied that people that don't trust in Hashem, then they don't trust. But Hashem that took us out of Mitzrayim, by us, the Posik explains that as Tumas Yishorim Tanchem. The Tmimus, the trust that we have in the Rebbeinu Shalom, that's the reason that pushes us, that gave us the drive to be Makabal the Torah. And Rashi explains that the Yidden understood that Hashem would never offer us and try to give us something that we can't be Mekayim. So I know for sure that I'm going to be able to do it. So that wasn't out of impulsiveness or something that I didn't think. There's nothing to think about. If I'm being offered something and I look who's offering it to me, Hashem, which took us out of Mitzrayim, it took care of us, and so it's for sure that it's the best thing for us. So we got to the conclusion, what will take you to think 40 years, I already know it. And that's why I'm able to act right away. It's Poshet. That's what the Gemara and Rashi says in Masechet Shabbos. Which means that someone that doesn't have Bitachon says, did you make a decision already? If you want to be Makabel the Torah, he says, I don't know. Come back to me next week. You come next week, he says, I'll tell you the truth, I don't know. How could I know? I don't know if it's good to me, if it's not good to me. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it consistent. Maybe the first month we'll be excited with the Torah, what's going to happen afterwards. He says, listen, I'm not the type of guy that makes a decision just at the spur of a moment. I like to rethink and really think about how it's going to look in 3 years from now. Sometimes people could think that comes from being meyushev. It comes from really thinking, going into detail. But no, it's a lack of bitachon. You're not trusting the Rebbeinu Shalom. Sometimes there's a shidduch that someone offers to you. So it depends who the person is. If it's someone you don't know, then you have to look into it and you have to ask information and you're trying to really figure out what this is all about because you don't know. But if it's someone that's, you know them, and he says, I know him personally, grab it. It's totally different. You look at it totally different because I talk to him, but I trust him. I be'emes trust him. So you jump in. But it's not jumping because of dimyan, because of imagination. It's not jumping because like I said, a reckless achlata decision. It's not called jumping. People use the term as jumping when it comes to money or comes to buying something that you don't have the money. Just jump in. They use this term. What do they mean with that? They mean to say, hey, listen, it's a risk. If you're really going to understand the risk that you're taking, you're never going to do it. So please don't think. That's how they use it. And then you hear people just repeating it one to another. I'm telling you, if you can always think all the things that could happen, you're never going to buy an apartment. Just jump in. That's not bitachon. That has nothing to do with bitachon. That has to do with you're taking a risk, which is on your own risk, like we say. And it's a decision that's made because of the powerful rotzen. The person so badly wants something, so he's saying, I want it so badly, so I don't want to think about everything that could happen. I don't want to think if it's the right thing, because if I'm going to think, it's not going to happen. So I'm just going to... It's like people that it's hard for them to be by certain situations, they drink because they don't want to think. They don't want to have their mind there. It's going to be too painful. Painful doesn't have to be because of tsar. Painful can sometimes be because it's going to be overwhelming. So I'm just going to live in denial. It's all part of the opposite of bitachon. But the same exact act of jumping in sometimes could be a full bitachon, a total bitachon. And that is that the person understands, if Hashem created me and runs the world to the smallest detail and to the biggest hardest complicated situation, every single detail Hashem is running, and Hashem is a toivu meitiv. And in addition to that, Hashem told me, I want you to do this. Then I will trust Him and I will do it. I'm not going to now question it because I trust Him. And it's constantly, and this is where we're coming back to the situations that a person is in. Most times a person is not given the choice to be makabel the Torah, like the example of the Gemara Masechta Shabbos, but is given the choice if he should right now act like the Torah wants from him. Now he's scared to go there because he doesn't trust the Rebbeinu Shalom, so he can't think about it. Example. I know I speak about this example a lot, but it came up in real life in the last few days since the last share. So let's talk about it open. In Gaman, he's a few years after his chasana. His wife cannot continue to work. It's not shaykh. She's falling apart. She's falling apart. By day, by night, she's not managing. She's extremely serious, but she can't. There's only the koichas are limited. There's only a certain amount of energy or strength that a person has. Now he doesn't know what to do now. Now what is a person supposed to do? What's the problem? You need an income, so go to work. Maybe by night, maybe half a day, maybe I don't know, but try to bring an income. But he's petrified. Why? Because of his brothers and his brother-in-laws. I mean, when he's open, when nobody is, he says, I can't do this. This is not by my family. I can't do this. I'm going to leave koilel. I can't leave koilel. What do you mean? I'm a learning boy. They took me because I'm a learning boy. I can't confront my shver or everybody. Why am I different? Why am I different? Why do I have to go to work? Now, it could be that Hashem is going to give him a nes. It could be that if he's going to daven, something's going to come up. It could be if he's going to stick it out. It could be. And it happened to a lot of people. But it could be that not. Now here, are you ready to think about it? And if it's the right thing, then you have no problem to just pick yourself up and do the right thing. If you're not ready to think about it because you're thinking about your brother-in-laws, that's called not having bitachon. It's not called having bitachon. Let's have it clear. And this is only one of many, many examples. It's the opposite. The situation is, I can't now make believe there's nothing going around only me and Hashem. What do you mean? I'm dead embarrassed, or I don't know what's going to happen. It means you don't trust in the Rebbeinu Shalom that if you're going to be able to think what's right and just do it, then everything's going to work out. So it brings us back to this understanding that many times when people don't want to think about something, it's coming because of not having bitachon. And bitachon is built on doing the right thing, not on not doing. Let's explain it from a different angle. Sometimes people feel the bitachon is physically, it means not doing and doing. Bitachon is in the heart, right? It's trusting. It's very deep. Trust is from the deepest feelings that a person could really get connected to. It's a very deep feeling, and it doesn't happen right away. And even if it does happen, it could always fall apart. Like when people have trust in a person, and Chavos always talks about it, and then one nice day they lose their trust in that person because of something that happened. So trust is a very, very deep feeling which needs to be constantly worked on so the person should actually have the trust. You have people that had bitachon the Rebbeinu Shalom, they thought they had bitachon the Rebbeinu Shalom until something shook. And then they start realizing that maybe I don't have that trust. And all of a sudden they have questions. Now, most people didn't work out their bitachon all the way because it's a tough job. It's a lifetime to work it out. Be'em is a lifetime. the people that are talking about it, the Chazon Ish has fascinating literature about it. He talks about the people that they love talking about a bitachon. He says if a guy is talking that he has bitachon, most probably he doesn't have bitachon, because the people that do, that's what he says. It's the people that actually trust. They don't talk about it. It's just that they trust. And when a person is given a nisayon, a really tough nisayon, that's when a person could test themselves and see, oh, I really have a long way to go. Look, I'm uptight. So now, when a person is trying to do hishtadlus, he's trying to get a job, and he's talking to this, he's talking to that, or he's trying to fix a problem in his house, and he's calling 100 people, and he's calling them again, and he's upset, the person that came late, and the whole thing, and then one nice day he learns Chavis Halvovis, and he says, calm down, Hashem is going to take care of it. And then he has this fascinating story. Hashem took care of it. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, it got taken care of. Now, it wasn't, of course, the fact that he didn't do anything. It's that he was arguing with his emotions not to go the wrong way. That's to avoid it from bitachon. It has nothing to do with what a person does or doesn't do. It's a person that emotions they arise. It means you start feeling certain emotions. And then a person works on themselves and he says, hey, what's the truth? Why am I feeling so, whatever I'm feeling? And then they say, but it's wrong. And they put in their mind the right mahalchei hamachshava, and they switch it instead of the of whatever they're feeling. Let's say a person has a conflict with someone, if it's monetary or whatever it is, and as many feelings that come up. He's very upset. He feels that someone abused him. He feels that all types, it's like usually comes together. And he stops and he says, well, 1 second. If I'm supposed to be practicing what I'm learning, this is wrong because it was bashar to me to happen anyways. This is wrong because don't worry, the money they're supposed to have, you'll have. Trust in Hashem. So he switches it around. The work that's going on inside, that's what we call bitachon. Now, it goes like we started this year. Sometimes the work is that because you switched it to the right machshavos, that's why I shouldn't be doing something. I shouldn't be calling so much. Shouldn't be doing so much. I should daven to Hashem. I should understand and believe that the Yeshua is only going to come from the Rebbeinu Shalom. Stop working so hard. Now, it's not the stop working so hard that's the bitachon, because many people don't like to work hard, and you might stop to work hard because you don't have koyach anymore to do it. But that's nothing to do with bitachon. It's the inside. So that's why the same exact mahalach of bitachon is in the opposite way. A guy doesn't want to think about going to work. He doesn't want to think about taking care of an issue because it's too hard for him to get all stuck with taking care of that issue. But why am I, the person asked themselves this question, why am I denying it? Why am I shoving it away? And when he understands that the reason why he's shoving it away is because it's too hard for him to deal with it, and because he doesn't know what's going to happen or whatever, that's where bitachon comes in, and bitachon pushes him to do it. Ein Adam shemei ali umafsid, the Medrash says. You're never going to lose out if you listened to the Rebbeinu Shalom. The Rabbeinu Bechaya says that the tzaddikim have bitachon to the Rebbeinu Shalom, that they're going to be successful in learning and in davening, and even if they have to skip some hours at night, sometimes they have bitachon that Hashem is going to give them the koyach to be able to do. So they start doing, and the bitachon is pushing them constantly that they shouldn't get scared and should continue on doing. So that's what we said. It goes both ways. Now a person says, how could I know if the reason why I'm not doing anything is because of laziness or because I'm having bitachon? It's so tricky. How could I know if it's coming from the right place? So the answer is pretty simple. If a person is trying not to fool themselves, and they're willing to put in the effort to think why they're doing what they're doing, they will most probably meet the truth. They will get there. It's not like that you can't understand it, and it could be that you're fooling yourself. It's only if a person is in the mood of trying to make themselves comfortable. So then, because they try to make themselves comfortable, so they're not thinking. I'll be talking, so good. But the second a person understands that I have to watch out for this, when I don't do something, I should try to look if the reason is because of laziness or because of bitachon, most probably the person would know the answer. Now, what is the answer built? On what is it built? How could a person know the answer? A person always needs to figure out what's the right thing. You cannot, in the same time, make a decision what's the right thing, and at the same time say that I'm having bitachon, it's the right thing. That's where people make a big mistake. You have to be studying about this topic right now that has no shaykhs with you. What is the right approach to a list of things? What's the right approach? Then when you have the nisayon, and the person says, listen, this is the right thing, what a person's supposed to do. I have a nisayon that I want to do different, but I'm going to have bitachon, I'm going to do what's the right thing. But when a person doesn't know what's the right thing, then they don't know if they're being lazy or bitachon because they don't know what's right.
So if a person needs a loan for his business, it's very unpleasant to ask people for loans. So you can be tempted to just say, I'll have bitachon, HaKadosh Baruch Hu can get me the money however he gets to me. So
you said the answer. Now, but bring up more questions because we need to go into the mitzvah world. The person needs a loan for his business. Now it's very unpleasant to ask for a loan. So he's saying Hashem is going to bring me the money. So you said the answer. Why is he not asking you the money? Because it's unpleasant. Now, if the person feels that it's b'derech ha'olam, that a business needs to take bigger loans, usually don't borrow $5,000 for a business, but that's the derech ha'olam, because the business also has the ability to earn more, bigger numbers. But if someone that understands, a professional, understands that Met Hashem, you're not doing a reckless thing by borrowing this kind of money, it makes sense. Sometimes it's $1 million, sometimes it's $2 million. But he's saying for such a business, it's a normal step to take in the situation that you are. Baruch Hashem, it's growing. Baruch Hashem, you're very good. You just need the liquid, you need the cash flow to get it going, to have on the shelves. You're a growing business. Then why is he not doing it? Because he's scared he's going to get a no. He's scared he's going to get a no. Just under a year ago, a few months ago, someone came over to me to tell me his story. He needed a shidduch, and this boy was almost 10 years in shidduchim, and it wasn't going. And they came to him and they gave him someone here from the shiurim, from the chabur, and they told him about a certain shidduch that is being read, and he was down in the dumps, and he did not want to go meet her. He didn't want to go meet her. Why? Because he felt, like you said, I'm not going through this again. I've been there, done that, next. And then he was learning bitachon. This is what happened. And it was like, if it's the right thing, do it. It's unpleasant, it doesn't make a difference, that's the right thing. He did it, and Baruch Hashem, they're married. But he remembers, he went to the Bitachon not wanting to go just because it's the right thing, because Hashem wants me to go. He didn't have cheshik. And it happened. This is an example where a person understands bitachon is supposed to push you to think about the future, to see, okay, so what's the right thing to do? So let me do it.
Now in shidduchim, the question, how many shadchanim should a person call, go to? It could be endless. And you say, Me'ashem ish ish.
Yeah, shidduchim is a topic that doesn't have clear boundaries, because it's very, very hard for a person. So some people say over things that don't really have a stark makor, once a week, all these, they don't have a real makor. Keilu, that it says in the Aseres HaDibros that it should be like this or like that. But what we could say is that a person should try to, and let's give a hagdam, let's give an introduction to what we're trying to say in the next part of the shir. It's not possible for a person to really become a Baal Bitachon, even, of course, this high level, but even to become, but a shtickle real Baal Bitachon, if they're not willing to understand their feelings and work it through and argue with them, it's not shaykh, because that's where the sugya of Bitachon is. It's not shaykh to learn Bitachon from the outside, because you're talking about the deepest psychology that's inside of the person. That's where the trust is in the person. You can't decide the trust is going to be in my fingers. The trust is in the deepest psychology of the heart and the mind of the person. Now, being that the Yetzer Hara is always going to tilt the person to do it his way, so you have to be willing to do the job of thinking about yourself. What's going through in me, and am I right now having bitachon or not? And if you're asking to do it, you're going to get very far. There are so many people that they say, "Oh, chavis halvavos, I finished it 15 times. I did chavis halvavos. I know it backwards and forwards." But you watch them and you see the guy, he's not there. What's the reason? Because it's not possible to become a Baal Bitachon from learning the information. The information comes right in the top. That's not where the big fight is. So part of the fight is that a person is supposed to be honest and working on themselves. What feeling do I have right now? It sounds like we're right now in the middle of a psychology session to work out what do you feel, but there's no other way. There's no other way. And in addition to that, the person has to be extremely honest. But that's Avodas Hashem, both of it. It's Avodas Hashem. I'm honest. I didn't have koach today to do it. As long as you're honest, you can get very far. Very, very far. A guy says, I'll tell you the honest truth. Today, I didn't pick up the phone. I saw it was you. No, I wasn't in traffic. No, that's not what happened. I did have my phone on me, and it wasn't on silent. I wasn't in the mood of picking up the phone. Now, not always you have to say it. I mean to say, a person who's living that type of life, he's not in a mess. So a person could understand, I don't want to do it because it's unpleasant. That's why I don't want to do it. So because it's Bitachon, I'm going to do it. It's the yard site tomorrow of Rabbi Sochadoy from Belz, the Friedige Belzer of his Nifta in Tov Reish Pei Zion. That's 96 years ago. So he said that if a person goes to collect money for others, he's doing tzedakah to collect, he's going from person to person, he could wipe off even averes that were chorus just with that. Now, it takes guts, it's embarrassing, you get no's, it's not very geschmack, and you're doing it to help a different yid. So it cleanses the neshamas. Very, 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 a lot of tzaddikim said that, but part of it is because it takes bitachon of the person. What kind of bitachon? So people think the bitachon is, I'm going to make 100K tonight. I have bitachon. It's not the bitachon. The bitachon is, listen, if this is what I'm supposed to be doing, this is what I'm going to be doing. And I trust in the Rebbeinu Shlem that he's not going to let go. What the outcome, I don't know what the outcome is going to come, but I'm going straight ahead. What's the first number? Let me call. I'm not thinking, what is he thinking? He's not going to give me money next week because that's what I asked him for the shul, and now I'm asking him for my daughter. He's not going there. He says, what's the difference? I'm not part of this game. This is called bitachon, that's pushing the person to do things. But once again, a person is supposed to chab. Why don't I want to do it? Why don't I want to call that person right now? Because it's unpleasant. Now here, let's take another case, another example. Real examples from real life. A person, I think we might have mentioned it. A person in Geman said he has a leak. He lives on the top floor. Now, the rooftop from a building, the one that's supposed to take care of it, is the vard from the binyan. It's everybody. It's not his. He happens to be living on the top floor. But all the neighbors are supposed to be chipping in if the rooftop is not sealed properly and it's raining into his house. Now, it's raining in as of the beginning of this winter. And now he went over to the person that's in charge. And he said, listen, what's going to be? The guy came back to him and he told him, I don't think the neighbors are going to want to right now hear about it. They're not in the mood. So he's saying, so what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to take a loan of a lot of money, which I don't have, and I don't know how I'm going to pay it. it should leak in. What am I supposed to do? It's tough. But in the truth of the matter, in such a case, the reason why the person wants to have bitachon is because it's unpleasant for him to figure it out how to do it with the shechina. That means he didn't go through all the way to really set it up. Let's make a meeting with the shechina. Like, what are we doing? Like, what's the plan? I tried, and that person was a little bit nasty to me. So then the person says, okay, I don't want to go. It's not pasher. Why are you saying it's not pasher? Because you don't have you're lazy. You're lazy to do it. Lazy in the heart is more than lazy with physical. I don't have koich to go talk to him. He's going to give me this attitude. I'm just going to trust in Hashem. No, it's not the right thing. The right thing is to take care of it. You don't want to because it's unpleasant. You can't blame it on bitachon. Now, a person is supposed to be honest with themselves, so why am I saying it? Most times, it's like you said, while the person is saying it, they're saying, I don't have koich for this guy. I know him. I learned with him in yeshiva. Forget it. I'm never going to handle it. No. So it means you're saying that I don't want to do it because it's unpleasant. But it doesn't make that it's the right thing now to just ignore it. Or the right thing is you should take a loan, which you don't have that money. You don't know how you're going to pay it. When a person doesn't know how he's going to pay it, so it's a problem. You can't take a loan if you don't know how you're going to pay it, because so that's another example. It comes to health, exact same thing. People don't want to know what's going on. It's better. They say it's healthier. Pun intended, kind of. It's healthier. Let me not take the tests, and let me just live my life, and they should helfen. What do you want from the Rebbeinu Shalom? Why are you mixing him in? It's not pleasant. I really feel with you. I'm not saying it's pleasant. I'm not saying it's the easiest thing that every single day a person is a machine and they do everything that they need to just because. But let's be honest about it, and let's call a spade a spade. Yeah, let's give it the right name. Let's get the right name. Right now, I don't feel I'm up to it right now. I would want to push it over tomorrow. We did that last week. True. I'm doing it again. Okay? You said it the way it is. Bitachon is pushing people. 1 second. It's the right thing. So I'm doing it right now. I'm going to do it. When it comes to be mechanech children, it needs a lot of emotional strength. Tons of emotional strength. A person that's honest and says, I cannot handle thinking about it this week. We'll see next week. But now, I'm over the top. I can't. I'm limited. Okay, that's fine. You're being honest. You're being honest right now. But if a person is saying that the Eibush Shevet Helf and I'm trusting in Hashem, you could trust. You should trust. But that's not a teretz. Why not to think? Let's think of a mahalach, what we want to do now. That brings us to another side point, that when a person doesn't know what to do or can't do anything about it, that's when a person has clarity. I could trust in Hashem. I'm not mechuyev in hishtadlus. If a person doesn't know what to do yet, then they shouldn't do. They should put in effort. They could wait till they sleep it over, but they should put in effort in trying to continue on. Hashem should help them think what to do. They should discuss it with somebody else. They should be able to write down the pros and cons. That's how a person is not being lazy in their mind, and they're training themselves to not just push it off. But it's extremely important for a person to understand that this is gonna mean that the person is going to be working very, very hard. If a person finds that they're not working very hard on their bitachon and on their what they're used to doing, their habits, they're not constantly fighting their habits, then they're not in a bitachon mode. It's the essence of a bitachon mode that a person is in a matziv, that they do things opposite than they want to do. Because the guf always is going to take it to the other direction. When you're not supposed to be doing, they're going to tell you, just give it another try. Try, push, scream. Tell him that if he's not going to give you an answer till tonight, then he's not going to hear from you. These kind of, the sprach, the way of talking, that's where the guf is. You're fighting that habit. No, I'm not telling him that. And the opposite, it goes that way. The bitachon is the work of working out all these habits to the trust in Hashem. And it's not easy. It's not easy at all. The Chazon Ish talks about so many pieces that he talks about the people that are daydreaming in bitachon. He says they're using it as a coping mechanism because they love dreaming about bitachon. But they find themselves that when they actually are in a nisayon, they're totally not acting what they're thinking. We started off about health. The Chazon Ish says that he feels that when it comes to health, he's comfortable. That's why he's comfortable to do shtadlus there, because he feels that that's what the Eibishter wants. So I'm just going to finish off with the Mesilas Yesharim in Perek Tes. The Mesilas Yesharim in Perek Tes says that Hashem created a person. We have the pasuk al kim asas adam yosher. The Mesilas Yesharim's lashon is ha'adam baruch hu asas adam bal seichel nochoy nesvara nechoycha. A person was born with a right train of thought and with very straightforward reasoning. A person's not messed up the way they come. Now that will continue to be as long as a person is acting on a derech hatoiv, he's doing what he's supposed to, and he watches himself from things that could dvarim hamazikim, things that could do him harm, and then a person is going on the right derech. But the person that wants to do things because they're pulled from the guf, that's not called bitachon, it's called hoylulus. Hoylulus means when a person is up all night because they're partying. Now, what's going to be tomorrow? Tomorrow's another day. The answer is, let's not think about it. That's the answer. Hoylulus means like when people say, don't bother me now with the facts. You know that? Don't now bring. Now I want to disconnect. Why? Because I want to have a good time. This Nakuda of Hoylus is throughout a person's life, not only when someone is partying at night, it's when people are partying by denying different aspects in their life. Which Hashem told you, I want you to be achrayistic about it. I want you to think about your health. I want you to think about parnosa. I want you to think about all those things. You should be constantly aware, and that should put you into a box that you don't have the option of denying it. And now you should act bitochendig about it, but you don't have the option of denying it. I remember when I was a bocha, I asked one of my rebbes if he thinks I'm going to be able to do this when I get older, I'm going to be able to do that when I get older. And he told me, so you want to be realistic or you want to talk about your wishes? So I remember I answered him, I said, do I have the option of not being realistic? So he told me, no, I just wanted to check with you if you think you have that option. It's a conversation that a person has to have with themselves, this conversation. People don't want to be realistic. Let's say they want to party, but their wife doesn't let. So they just shut their phone. And then we'll see Metzshem. Something happened. Then they lie and they get caught and they get messed up in Gansen. Why? Because they don't want to be in that box that I have to be realistic, I have to take all these things into mind. I don't want to have to take these cheshbonos. No, you have to be realistic. You must be realistic. And afterwards starts bitachon. People want to draw the picture, the fee, what it's going to fit for their nefesh. No, the picture's there before you. And you don't have any option to change that picture. You could decide now that this is the situation to do the right thing with bitachon. That's the if not, you're giving place for hoylus, which hoylus means what we just spoke about. Hoylus is the word for not being realistic. What were you thinking? I wasn't thinking. When the Mashgiach asked the boy, what were you thinking? Why are you asking him? He wasn't thinking. It's a question that doesn't have an answer. We have to bring more examples in the real life, but only if we do again and again, and we go through this topic, then we can find ourselves in the middle with Bitachon. Because if not, then all these stories just shift the person. Instead, that the Guf should take them to Daiga, the Guf takes them to Hoylus. All right? A lot of people, the Hamoinam is full with it. That means they used to be uptight with anxiety and whatever. But from when they started living in Bitachon, they just live in denial, and it's amazing. Yeah, that's what happens, because it's a lot of work, so they don't want to do the work. They want to hear the stories with Ashgacha brothers. So you hear all the stories, oh, no problem. It changed my life. Now I live in denial. It doesn't work like that. Bitachon is really, really hard work, but it pays. But not only because it's a mitzvah, not only because of a person's mechuyev, it's because even Gashmi, the denial bursts one day. It's not ki'ilu, a person that lives there. It's like drugs, and when it's done, then the hangover is very unpleasant. It's the same thing. It's mamish the same exact thing, because then you have to deal with whatever you did. It's terrible. A person that lived in denial, on the way, a lot of things fell apart. When they wake up, it's much harder work. There's no other way to work in this world, only to really work it out. You go a little bit this way, then you go a little bit the other way. You go this way, the other way, until you find yourself in the middle. That's the meter from the Torah, the meter Satiferes. Straight line. Okay.